There are two scriptures I want to reflect upon. Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 and the book of Ezekiel chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 declares, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him." Whilst Ezekiel chapter 1 states, "And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind, a great cloud and fire enfolded itself, and the living creatures and the wheels within the wheels, and the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels." When you read these scriptures aloud, have you ever wondered what Genesis was really trying to tell you? What if image was never referring to your physical form, but to something far deeper, far older, far mysterious? And what if Ezekiel's vision, this storm of fire, consciousness, movement, and layered intelligence was not a spectacle in the sky, but a revelation of the architecture hidden within you? Because what if Genesis gave your identity, but Ezekiel revealed your blueprint? What if the image of God was never about resemblance, but about design? A design that breathes, a design that moves, a design that awakens, a design that remembers. And maybe this is why something inside you rises every time truth touches your spirit. Not because you're learning something new, but because you're recognizing something ancient. Could it be that the divine image is not a symbol but a structure? Could it be that Ezekiel's Merkabah was not a chariot above humanity, but a pattern inside it? Let's linger here, because this is where the veil begins to thin. When Ezekiel glimpsed the Merkabah, wheels within wheels, fire folding into itself, creatures moving as one, consciousness moving, guided motion, was he seeing something separate from humanity? Was something that humanity was fashioned out of? What if what he saw was the heavenly version of the same architecture Genesis says? This is where the ancients understood something modern religion forgot. The divine image is not a face. It is a cosmic pattern of consciousness, a geometry that moves, a presence that breathes, a template designed for revelation, a structure capable of holding spirit. And what if this explains your own complexity? Why your spirit feels older than your body? Why your intuition arrives before your logic? Why your awareness touches things your language cannot fully articulate? Could it be because your true self is not bound to the single dimension you see in the mirror? Because you're not one layer, that you are many? Have you ever felt like the you inside you is bigger than the you people see? What if that feeling isn't imagination but memory? What if the divine image is dimensional, meaning you carry layers the physical eyes cannot perceive? A physical body, yes, but also an emotional feel, an energetic feel, a spiritual body, and a higher ancient layer that religion calls spirit, science calls consciousness, and mystics call the true self. If this is true, then the question becomes, are you living from your whole design or only the smallest part of it? And how much of your suffering comes from living as a one-dimensional being in a multi-dimensional body. Here's where the ancient parallels become more than history. They become confirmation. Egyptians spoke of the Ka, life blueprint, and Sahu, light body, the spiritual structure awakened through truth and alignment. Vedic mystics spoke of Purusha, the cosmic human hidden inside the earthly one, veiled until remembrance. Kabbalah spoke of Adam Kadmon, the primordial divine human, not a historical figure, but the template of consciousness which every soul reflects like a fragment of a cosmic mirror. Sufi mystics spoke of Insan al-Kamil, the perfect human, not perfect in behavior, but perfect in alignment, a being whose heart becomes a mirror in which God sees himself. And Hermetic teachings summarize all of this with a single law: as above, so below, as within, so without. If every culture spoke of a divine pattern inside humanity, what are the chances they were all imagining the same thing? Or is it more likely that they were pointing to the same ancient truth from different angles? The truth that Genesis names image and Ezekiel displays in flame. Science, unknowingly, has begun to confirm the mysteries that prophets and sages kept alive for thousands of years. Your DNA emits light, biophotons. Why does your body glow? Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that affects the nervous system of others. Why does your inner state broadcast? Your thoughts create measurable frequencies and your emotions recalibrate your cells. Why does your inner world shape your outer world? Your brain doesn't create consciousness. It receives it like an antenna tuned to a higher field. So what exactly are you tuned to? If the divine image is a blueprint of consciousness, then the human nervous system is the instrument playing it. This is why trauma blocks intuition, why memories distort perception, why shame collapses the electromagnetic field. This is why fear lowers the frequency, why healing rewires the body. This is why love expands the field and why truth restores coherence. Could it be that the divine image is not something religious, but something energetic? Not abstract, but measurable? Not symbolic, but structure? If this blueprint is inside you, why does life so often contradict it? Because the divine image is perfect, but your alignment with it is not always clear. Trauma distorts the signal. Fear disrupts the field. Shame collapses your coherence. Survival fragments your identity. Conditioning buries your intuition. And suddenly you're not living from your design. You're living from your distortion. This is why cycles repeat. Not because you are cursed, but because your frequency hasn't shifted. This is why patterns persist. Not because destiny is blocked, but because the divine blueprint cannot fully express itself through a fractured internal geometry. And so, you attract from the layer you're living from. Fear attracts mirrors of fear. Distortion attracts mirrors of distortion, whilst alignment attracts destiny. Coherence attracts clarity, and truth attracts revelation, which raises a question, not to condemn you, but to awaken you. Are you living from the divine image or the distorted echo? Because your life always reveals the answer. This brings us back to Ezekiel. What if the Merkabah was not given to fascinate humanity, but to remind humanity of the structure hidden inside them. What if wheels within wheels is your layered perception? What if fire enfolding itself is your consciousness awakening? What if the spirit in the wheels is the movement of God within your awareness? What if the Merkabah was shown outside so you would learn to recognize it inside? Because the divine image doesn't descend from heaven, it rises from within. And when that rising begins, when your layers start aligning, when your perception begins clearing, when your intuition becomes louder than your fear, you feel movement, not physical movement, inner movement, a turning, a lifting, a fire, a recognition. This is the inner chariot awakening. This is the divine architecture remembering itself. This is the kingdom within coming online. So the question now becomes, if the divine architecture is already inside you, what would your life look like if you actually lived from it? What if your image is not a future achievement, but a forgotten origin? What if awakening is not becoming something new, but returning to something ancient? Something Ezekiel saw in flames, something Genesis hinted in breath, something the ancient mapped in symbols, and something science is only beginning to measure. But how do you access it? How do you move from fragmentation to integration, from distortion to alignment, from survival self to soul self? The shift begins with awareness, but it becomes real with embodiment, because truth that is known but not embodied remains an idea. Truth that is embodied becomes transformation. So what happens when you start living as the divine pattern instead of the human distortion? Let's go deeper. Have you noticed that your ego lives in reaction, but your essence lives in recognition? Your ego lives in defense, but your essence lives in alignment. Your ego survives, but your essence remembers. What if the parts of you've been calling weakness were never weakness, but misaligned expressions of a deeper spiritual structure that has been starving for truth? What if the anxiety you feel is the energy of a suppressed intuition trying to force its way into your awareness? What if the anger you carried is the pressure of an untapped purpose burning beneath your skin? What if the sadness you hide is your soul mourning the gap between the life you're living and the life you were designed for? And what if your longing is not a flaw, but a compass, a memory, a blueprint calling you back? If Kadmon describes you as a fragment of divine consciousness, and Purusha describes you as a cosmic being hidden in human form, as the mirror in which God sees himself, then what exactly are you living as when you choose fear over spirit? When you choose self-doubt over divine design? When you choose comfort over your calling? What if every ancient map was pointing to a version of you that religion domesticated, that culture silenced, and trauma distorted? And what if your awakening is not rebellion, but restoration, not ambition, but alignment, not pride, but remembrance? Because if the divine architecture truly lives inside you, then your life only works when you live from that architecture. Anything less creates internal conflict. Anything less feels like suffocation. Anything less feels like settling. Not because you're ungrateful, but because your soul refuses to shrink into a life that does not match its design. Quantum biology says your DNA is responsive to your emotional state. Why does your biology listen to your belief? Neuroscience says your nervous system reorganizes itself around your dominant thoughts. Why does your body restructure itself around your consciousness? Heart math research shows your heart's electromagnetic field changes every cell in your body and influences people several feet away. Why does your inner world shape your outer world? Could it be that spirituality and science have been describing the same phenomenon in different languages? That image of God and quantum coherence are two angles of the same truth. That spirit in the wheels and consciousness fields refer to the same inner architecture? And if so, what happens when your emotional state, your thoughts, your words, your intentions, and your alignment come into harmony? What happens when the wheels begin turning together? When the fire begins rising? When the image begins awakening? What happens when you become coherent with your blueprint? You feel it, don't you? Your intuition sharpens. Your perception widens. Your inner world steadies. Your energy rises. Your trust deepens. Your clarity strengthens. Your sensitivity increases. Your destiny starts pulling instead of pushing. This is the inner Merkabah coming into motion, not above you, but within you. Not as an event, but as an alignment. And now we ask the most important question. What is the life that matches your design? Not the life handed to you. Not the life you adapted to. Not the life you settled for. Not the life shaped by fear or expectation. What is the life that mirrors the divine architecture encoded in your spirit? What relationships match that? What environments match that? What purpose matches that? What decisions match that? What boundaries match that? And what must fall away for that version of you to rise? This is the sacred tension you're feeling right now. The old cannot hold you. The familiar cannot contain you. The distorted cannot guide you. The small cannot define you. You are standing at the threshold between the life you were shaped by and the life you were designed for. This is the moment where revelation must become practice, where alignment must become lifestyle, where remembrance must become embodiment. This is where the 5 directives I'm about to outline are not simply teachings, but keys. Keys to shape and direct you. Keys to bring you in alignment. 1. Return to stillness every day. Stillness is where the distortion dissolves and the divine image becomes audible. Your coherence begins in silence. 2. Speak only from alignment. Words sculpt the architecture within. Every lie collapses your structure, but every truth restores it. 3. Follow the pull of your soul, not the pressure of your environment. The divine blueprint never pushes, it pulls. Resonance is your compass. 4. Release the version of yourself you built in survival. They serve you, but they cannot carry you into destiny. Offer them gratitude, then let them go. 5. Walk as one who carries the divine design now, not later, not when healed, not when ready, but right now. The architecture is already active. The Merkabah is already turning. The kingdom is already within you. You are not a random spark in a chaotic universe. You are the divine image in motion, a living revelation wrapped in flesh. You carry the echo of Genesis and the fire of Ezekiel. You carry the memory of the ancients and the resonance of the quantum. You carry a blueprint older than your bloodline and deeper than your history. You are the meeting place of breath and eternity, the intersection of heaven and human. the forgotten architecture God hid in plain sight. And now you are remembering. This is a sacred curriculum. Lesson complete. Now remember who you are.